Hey, what's going on, everybody? Today we are making an easy Mexican style chorizo. Mexican chorizo is actually a spicy food lover's dream food because it is essentially sausage, usually a pork sausage, that is loaded with lots of different seasonings that makes it just wonderfully flavorful and spicy. It's really easy to make at home and no equipment required at all. Really just, it's a mixing in a bowl, really. But because it's homemade, you can make it as spicy as you want to. So, hey, let me show you how to make it. All right, let's talk a little bit about Mexican chorizo. There's really two main components to making Mexican style chorizo. It's really the meat and the seasonings. And we are using a lot of seasonings here because we want that big, bold flavor. Mexican style chorizo is actually pretty different from something like a Spanish chorizo. Spanish chorizo is cured, whereas this is more of just a fresh seasoned sausage, and it's uncured, so it's really, you can use it right away. So in this particular case, here I have 1.5 pounds of ground pork, and I'm using a nice fatty pork, kind of a 70-30 ratio. You can use other meats for this, like ground beef. There's a popular beef version of chorizo. You can use other ground meats like even turkey, even tofu I've seen it made with, but really pork is more common and much more flavorful. You can add more fat to this if you want to, make it fattier, or use leaner cuts, but you'll get more flavor with the bit of fattier cut. It's usually more fatty. So, all right, so again, here I have 1.5 pounds of ground pork, and all my seasonings here. I have 2 tablespoons of paprika, add it to the bowl, and a tablespoon of cayenne. And here I have a tablespoon of ancho powder and a tablespoon of guajillo powder. And you can use dried pods for this and grind them up or even rehydrate them. But I'm making this real easy by using dried seasonings. And a tablespoon of garlic into the bowl. Whoop. And I have a teaspoon of freshly ground cumin and a teaspoon of Mexican oregano, and a teaspoon of ground coriander. And here I have some clove. I'm using a 1/2 teaspoon of clove. I tend to lean away from the clove and also cinnamon, which are very common ingredients. I'm using them today, but I like to downplay those a little bit for my own personal preference. So here's a 1/2 teaspoon of clove and a 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, Mexican cinnamon. And these are all ingredients you can really customize. And here I have salt and pepper to taste. I have about a 1/2 teaspoon each into the bowl. And I have 2 tablespoons of red wine vinegar. I'm gonna add it to the bowl. And as promised, no equipment needed. You're just gonna mix it all together. So just mix, hand mix right here until everything is nicely incorporated. But yeah, you can really see there's a lot of seasonings here. Probably a lot more than you might normally use in certain recipes, but that's where all that big, bold flavor comes from, is just lots and lots of seasonings, wonderful seasonings. It's really a gorgeous, gorgeous blend for Mexican style chorizo. I just love it. All right, got to get the hands in there, guys. There's only so much you can do with a fork or a spoon. So I'm gonna take my ring off here, and sorry, Patty, we're not married right now. All right, let me get in there, mix. Get it nice and incorporated. All right, I got this nicely mixed up. So let me get this set onto a plate so we can take a look at it. All right, first things first, let me get my ring back on. Patty, will you marry me? I've been married to Patty for 26 years, my friends. I would absolutely marry Patty again, if she would have me. All right, at this point, your chorizo is actually usable as it is. You can see I just got it set up onto some plates here. But if you purchase chorizo from the store, Mexican style chorizo, oftentimes it is more of a pate consistency. Like I have it, you'll usually find it in tubes, like plastic tubes. And that's kind of what this is. Like I actually buy it like in bulk, a large portion of it, and I'll freeze it. Like this is a 4-ounce portion that I use for like making breakfast tacos or whatever I want to use it for. But we'll take a look at what this looks like actually. Let me cut this open. Yeah, you can see that this is definitely more like a pate consistency here. So yeah, let's just get a look at that. You see how mushy it is? Yeah, and you can see like it's very almost spreadable. because of the fat content, and it's just so broken down and it's almost pureed. And that's exactly what we can do if you want to get it to be a little bit more like the brand Mexican style chorizo they get in the store. So I'm gonna get out a food processor and we're just gonna pulse it up to break it up a little bit more and get it closer to this. So all right, let me get my food processor. All right, I got my food processor all set up here, and I'm gonna do half of this batch so we can compare how everything comes out, the consistency of it. So let me just get this into my processor here. I'm gonna break it up a little bit. It's already fairly mushy because of the fat content, but we're gonna make it even more pate-like. All right. And you don't wanna go crazy here because you don't wanna, you know, overly mushy, but it's really to your preference. So just give it a few pulses. All right, let's take a look at it here. Oh yeah, you can see how it's, yeah, it's definitely getting more spreadable. And a lot of it will depend on the amount of fat that you have in there. So if you wanted to add more fat, like a pork lard, and that would make it even smoother. But yeah, let me get this out and get it onto a plate and we'll take a look at them. All right, let's compare all these different chorizos, the 3 chorizos here. So here is my original one where all I did was mix up the ground pork with the seasonings. And if you were gonna add this to sausage casings, something that you could grill, I would use this consistency. It'll give it more oomph and mouth feel to your sausages. And I've seen this kind of chorizo more in like Mexican grocery stores where they have in the back counter all their homemade stuff. Usually we'll see this version and the more pureed kind of pate type version. But this is my pate style version here that we just lightly pureed with a food processor. And you can see it's definitely more spreadable. It's a lot like the store-bought one here, very much. And really you have the option now to do it however you'd like to, and it really is gonna depend on how you wanna eat it. I like to make it this way often, and then I'll freeze it in small portions like I showed you in my little plastic, you know, bags and stuff. But you can also add it to like some plastic tubes if you want to, kind of like you see in the store, and just kind of roll it up and wrap and freeze it. So again, super easy to make that way. So what do we make with Mexican chorizo? Well, there's so many different ways, and I have a lot of recipes on the website that incorporate chorizo. You can use it in, you know, any of your tacos, burritos, nachos, you know, all the, you know, basic, obvious ones. But really there's some Mexican classics like chorizo tacos. I have that on the website. I have chorizo con huevos, delicious. Papas con chorizo. Those are all on the website. You can check those out. Also, another way I like to actually mix a little bit of it with leaner meats like ground chicken or ground turkey and make burger patties out of them. So it'll take those leaner cuts of meat and add a little bit more flavor and just makes it that much more delicious. Hey, I really want to emphasize that this is the like very easy version for making Mexican style chorizo. This will work for the vast majority of your needs if you just want to get chorizo in a hurry. But if you guys are interested, we can really make some chorizo purely from scratch, and I'll bust out my meat grinder and we'll get some different cuts of pork and some pork fat. We'll grind it all up into a perfect blend. But then the recipe is pretty much the same after that, same as this, where we can use dried chilies and rehydrate them if we want to, but it's really just mixing it all with our blend of seasonings and you're good to go. But I can definitely make that if you want to. Homemade chorizo, my friends, very easy and very delicious. I hope you love it as much as I do. And I'd love to hear in the comments below what you think, and also what's your favorite way to enjoy chorizo. But I've got a couple recipes here you can check out. Check out my chilaquiles recipe. It's really delicious with chorizo. But also, if you're looking for a different way to enjoy it, try my cheesy queso fundido. Lots of chorizo, very spicy. So, all right, I'll see you in the kitchen next time. Bye.